Hey there, everybody. This is Dr. Gwen, and I am getting started with my second Periscope broadcast. And I'm hoping that some of you lovely ladies will join me on the call today because I have some really great information that I feel that you need to hear that will empower you to take action in the areas of your life that you feel may be stopping you. I just want to go ahead and introduce myself. As I said, I'm Dr. Gwen from the Dr. Gwen International Training and Empowerment Academy. And my purpose here with you is to help to empower you to achieve the things that you want to achieve in your life. I'm an international online trainer and a performance coach, and an author and a speaker. So I do a lot of those different things, speaking to audiences, talking to other people, coaching women, and empowering them in their lives. I like to consider myself as a vigilante for other people's dreams. So I watch out for other people following their dreams and following their passions, because I know how important it is for you to be able to set your passions and your dreams and to live it and to follow it. So I hope that some of you will join me here as I am going through this, and I'd love to see you join me so I can have a conversation. Now, a little bit about me. I have had a career in teaching, in education for a while, and then I've been a college professor, and now I'm an entrepreneur, and I'm an entrepreneur that's following my dreams and my passions. And one of the things that I love to do is to help people to discover what their passions are. I know there are a lot of talk back and forth about passion and what it is, and I feel like sometimes people don't clearly understand what passion is or what passion can do in their lives. And I can tell you there was a time when I wasn't clear myself. I just figured that whatever I put my hands to, and as long as I could like it a little bit, then it would be okay for me to do. And when I jumped and left my career, I started a real estate investment business, and I liked that for a while, and then after a while it started becoming a little monotonous, and I felt like it wasn't fulfilling me and who I was. So what happened was that I got completely bored, and I really felt embarrassed, to say I was a real estate investor, not because the profession was a bad one, but just simply because it didn't fulfill who I was. And so this brings me back around to my passions, right? And you have certain things that you are passionate about. And deep within your heart of hearts, you know what that is. You really know what it is. And it's going to be really important for you to tap in and not to let anybody tell you what that is. You have got to tap into your heart and find that for yourself. But I want to tell you that the minute you find that and the minute you start living it, life takes on a completely different turn. I mean, everything just seems to appear to become so much more magical. The sun shines brighter, and the grass is greener, and the flowers are more brilliant. Just all of these wonderful phenomenon start happening when you discover what your passions are. So I jumped off into this real estate investment thing, and after a while I discovered I knew deep inside of me that it wasn't my passion, because I felt it as I was going along. Have you ever been in a situation where you are doing something, maybe a job that you have or something you have, and you're doing it, and it's not sudden, but you have this little void inside of you where you know that you were meant to be something else. you were meant to do something different, that there is a bigger and a broader purpose for you to fulfill in life. And yet, you may be having that feeling, and then something else may be there that may be stopping you from getting there, right? And that's something sometimes are the fears that we have and those negative self-talks that we tell ourselves, those things that really don't serve us and don't help us to be our fullest, best self. Now, you may have some fears about starting something great in your life. Like, you may know already that whatever you're living is not it for you. You may just know that that's not what you're supposed to be doing. And yet you may be completely fearful to take that step, to take on whatever that is that's big and great for you. Then there's the whole concept of the negative self-talk. Do you know, I mean, really, how many of you tell yourselves negative things like, I'm not worthy, or I'm not good enough, I can't do it. You know, we say, I can't do it. It's too big of a goal for me. You know, we can examine some of those beliefs. The I'm not worthy bit. You know, I'm not good enough. Let me tell you something. By virtue of you being human, you are good enough. And I don't know where that thought started. You probably, if you can explore that, you can probably figure where that thought started from. But it's not something that you were born with. You weren't born with the I am not worthy bandwagon. You were not. Somewhere along the line, that thought got put inside of you. Maybe the way somebody treated you or what they said to you that caused you to feel like you're not worthy. But by virtue of you being human being, you are worthy. And I want you to consider that, you know, and take that on, that you are worthy. And the next thing we tell ourselves is, I'm not good enough. Oh my goodness, that is a huge one. By whose standard would you say you're not good enough, you know? By whose standards? Who sets good enough anyway? You know, that's something that you really have to examine and tap deep inside of you to see where that's coming from. Or maybe no one likes me. Guess what? We're all big adults here. And who says we need the like factor anyway? Now, I'm not going to be completely unrealistic and say that we don't need people to like us. We do. You know, I need people to like me. You need people to like you. We all need people to like us. But when it comes to fulfilling on the bigger things in our lives, and we are letting other people determine whether or not we're going to step forward because we're waiting for their approval. Well, guess what? You can either have results or you can have approval. And which one do you prefer? Approval never got anybody what they wanted. Never has. So you are going to have to go for the results if you want to make the difference in your life to achieve whatever it is that you want. You got to go for the results. You can't go for the approval. Okay? And then really no one likes you? Where'd you get that thought from? Who put that in your head? How'd you come up with that idea that nobody likes you? You know, are you creating this? Now, the one thing I want you to know is that those big goals that you have to achieve, they can stop you, and only if you let it. So what can you do about that? I want to talk with you a little bit about this phenomenon called fear, right? And if you examine, where did fear come from? Most of the times when you are living in fear, what's happening is that's originating from something in your past. Yes, what you've actually done is you have taken something from your past. Either someone said something to you, or you saw something happen to someone, or you made a story about something that happened in the past. And now You're projecting that into your future, and you're becoming fearful about it. And you're letting it stop you. Your good grace, you're letting it stop you from being the great person that you were intended to be. You have a mission. You have something that you need to fulfill here in this world. And guess what? When you are letting fear stop you, what is actually happening is you are robbing somebody else of the gift that you have to bring. Because you are so unique, you've got tons of gifts that you can bring to other people while they're going through their journey. And if you are letting fear stop you, then absolutely and obviously, you are not fulfilling what you're here for. So, that story that you're telling yourself is what is actually stopping you. So you have to make certain that you get a handle on whatever the stories are that you're really telling yourself. You know, in this series of talks that I'll be doing, today is about fear, but my whole goal is to eventually get you to a place where you can feel like whatever it is that you conceive in your thoughts that you want to do, you can step out to do it. You know, I want to tell you this. Guess what? Fear is natural. It is. It's a natural phenomenon. You know why? Because your little subconscious mind right there is intended to keep you where you are. It's intended to keep you in the status quo, right? You heard what I said. And do you know what I mean by that? In the status quo simply means that you're not growing. Do you want to grow? Do you want to achieve something big for your life? If that's what you want, then you can no longer let the fear stop you. You can't. You're going to have to step out and you're going to have to make that big, bold move. But I understand you say, Dr. Gwen, but this whole fear thing, it's crippling me. It's bigger than I can think. You know, it's something that I just don't know what to do with. All of these internal things that come, you know, that causes me to be afraid. Maybe it's the fear of rejection. Or probably you're even afraid of success. Or the fear of the unknown. My goodness, that's a big one. A lot of us are afraid of the unknown. And that is what stops us. But the unknown is that phenomenon of the how. If you are caught up in the how of what you're going to do, then fear is going to stop you, right? You can't be caught up in the how. And do you know why I know that? I was there too. There was a time when I was completely frozen and stuck because I was afraid of the how. See, I was brought up to believe that, you know, you must do everything great and professional and perfect. And as you know, there's no such thing called perfect, right? But that's the way I was raised. And you know what that did? It kept me stuck for a number of years because except I had big jobs, right? Big responsibilities, leading thousands of people. And when I was in my job, even though I became fearful, I had to perform. I had to do what I had to do to cause results to happen. So my job by its nature kept me going. Anything outside of that job that I had to volunteer to do, if I was asked to take on a task or an extra leadership responsibility, guess what? If that thing didn't present itself in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in steps that I could clearly see in my mind, guess what? Not I. You're not going to get me to volunteer for anything if I didn't know how it was going to end. And you know what that did? it really kept me stuck. For a number of years, I was completely stuck. If I were in a group and I had a thought, I had to think that thought from start to finish before I would raise my hand to make a comment. Now, I throw my hand up in the air and I create as I go because I understand the power of that thing called fear. It has stopped me before and it's going to stop me again if I let it, right? So the how is not your job, is really what I want to say. The what is your job. You need to figure out the what. And that what is your clarity. You need to know what you are about. What is your passion? What is your mission? What are you supposed to be doing here on this earth? Once you've figured out that what, yes, you're going to lay plans. It would be foolish to just jump off without laying plans. You lay the best plans, and a lot of times you don't know how it's going to end up. And you don't even know that the plans you laid will be working. So you just have to keep staying in motion, putting one foot in front of the other so that you can actually make the step to get to the goal where you want to get to. So that's how. The how is God's job. It's not your job. It's not your business to be trying to figure out and stopping yourself from the how. So there, if your fear is about the how, I'm going to say let it go, because you know what? I'm going to share 3 little things that I discovered about fear. And then I'm going to give you one tip that I want you to leave this call with that will help you the next time you're confronted with fear. Okay? But the thing I know is that the how is God's job. It's not yours. So you don't have any business at all trying to figure out what this how is, because that's not your business. Okay? You lay the plans and you step forward. Now, if you're afraid of rejection, what I said before is this. You can either have the results or you can have the success. But you can't sit around waiting for people to like you or to give you the thumbs up on anything you know in your gut that you need to do. That is your business and God's business, and you need to take care of it. And then there are some people who are afraid of failure, right? That failure. They're afraid of success, like, what if I do it and it explodes? I wouldn't know what to do. That thought comes up. And then, what if I do it and it flops? Then I'm going to be labeled, I'm going to be a failure. I got something to say about that next time. And the fear of the unknown. That fear of the unknown, as I said, is coming from your past. And you have to be able to let go. Let go. What are you afraid of? So, usually when we have fear, we're projecting false ideas. We have some false beliefs about the past and what has happened. Now, if you can, and this is the one tip I want to leave you with, before we do that, why don't we just go to the 3 things I know about fear, okay? So the 3 things that I know about fear is, like, number 1, it's an imposter. What do I mean by that? It's not real, guys. Fear is not real. It's not a phenomenon, a thing you can touch that's going to reach out and bite you or strangle you. Or it's none of that. It's in here. It's mental. And you know, the mental things are the biggest things that we allow to stop us. We are our biggest enemies. We allow ourselves to be stopped. We allow the self-talk to get to us and paralyze us. But because fear is an imposter, it's just a projection of guesswork. You're guessing that it's gonna fail. You're guessing that it may blow up outside of your control. You're guessing that people won't like it. Stop the guesswork. You are projecting the fear on your life. Stop it. You don't know these things. You don't know. Just because it failed in the past doesn't mean it has to fail now. Let it go and go with the flow. And so because I know that fear is not real and it's a projection of your story, the story you are choosing to tell yourself of whether this will happen or whether that will happen, then you just need to know that you have to ignore it. It appears to be real, but it's not. If you don't ignore it, what's going to happen? It's going to rob you. Ladies, it's going to rob you of your growth. Do you want to grow beyond measure? Do you want to achieve that big old hairy dream that you have for your life, for your family? Do you want to achieve it? Then you have to understand that because the fear will show up, you have to step out. Step out, because if you don't, you're not going to grow. I did say it's that subconscious mind that's affecting you, right? Yeah, I did say that. And that subconscious mind is intended to keep you in status quo. So anytime you are faced with something that's new, your subconscious mind kicks in and it goes, oh no, don't do it. Don't do it. It's new. What if it doesn't work? It wants to keep you safe, which is really its job. But you're the boss of it. You're the boss of it. You don't have to allow it to stop you. Here's the second thing I know about fear. That you are stronger than it. You don't have to let it stop you, right? It's mental and it's psychological. It's not a physical thing that's going to come out and strangle you, right? You have the ultimate control. You have the ultimate control. So take it. Take the power. It's yours. And guess what? You can interpret that feeling called fear any way you want. Isn't that phenomenal? That shows you've got power. So now, if that fear is crippling you and you're letting it stop you, right? You're letting the fear stop you right now. What if you were to turn that feeling called fear into something that's positive and empowering instead? Don't you think that would cause you to step out a little bolder? Maybe there'll be a little more pep on your step because you understand that that thing called fear, it's like false. It's false stuff. It's not real. And you can step out in spite of it and make it mean something that empowers you. So that emotion that comes over you that you call fear, why don't you let it mean something that, oh my, this is inspiring. I'm about to step out and I'm about to do something really great. And my life will never be the same anymore. Let it mean that. Step out and let it mean that. And watch the transformation that really happens in your life. Well, here's the third thing I know about fear. This third thing I know about fear is that it dies in the face of you taking action. So guess what? If you never move, you don't even stand a chance. That fear is going to cripple you and it's going to overpower you. Man, I can tell you stories about my life, about the times I allowed fear to stop me. And the one single time, like 3 years ago, when I went off to this event and I decided that, boy, the fear was really gripping me. We were to climb this high pole. It was like 50 feet off the ground. You're tethered, but I'm afraid of height. And so I'm supposed to climb this pole and to climb to the top. And once I get to the top, I'm supposed to face forward, jump about 6 feet up in the air to touch a rope above me, and then be let down. I'm not going to be let down gently, but land on the ground. Of course, you're tethered as you're going down. And I stuck myself in the middle of that line watching everybody go up because I'm thinking, what if that rope breaks? Let me not be the first one. I'll let them go up there first. And when they go up and I can verify it, then I'll go. So now it was my turn, and I started to climb that pole. And I'm telling you something, I never realized how far apart those stretch were. I was stretching as high as I could between those little hand rests, those little niche. And finally I got to the top, and there was this big old giant pillar. And I'm facing backwards, right? But I had no idea how wide that pillar was. My hand couldn't wrap around it. And if I did something precarious, I would have slipped and fell down. And the little ledge was so tiny, my feet could hardly hold to the top. And I froze as I held on to that pole, hugging it and thinking, how the heck am I going to make this turn forward so I can jump? And the fear started coming over me, man. And I said, you know what, Gwen? Turn. And my palms were really sweaty, wet and sweaty. And I turned very precariously, but I turned and I faced forward. And now I look up, I'm supposed to jump and touch that thing up top. And I thought, there's no way it's good enough for me to be up here 50 feet off the ground. I am not getting up there, and I am not going to jump and touch that. And it's good enough for me to try to land 50 feet below. So now I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I'm up here. Now I'm to jump. What if that darn rope breaks? And I think, well, it didn't break with all those people. But then the thought came, well, you could be the first one. And I tell you what, the fear started strangling me. And immediately before, because I know if you set in with that fear and cuddle it, it's going to overpower you. And then I'd be stuck up there. I'd be too embarrassed to ask them to let me down, you know, when everybody else did it and jumped. But anyway, before the thought started to come back over, I jumped. And let me tell you something, that was victory for me. That was the sweetest victory I ever experienced. But you know what I learned in that moment? I realized what fear is. That the minute you take the steps and keep taking the steps, even though it's telling you this in your head, just keep taking the steps and you will overcome it. You'll overcome fear. It lessens with each and every step you take. Now, isn't that wonderful news? So you don't have to allow yourself to become stuck by fear. It's daunting, I know, but you don't have to allow yourself to become stuck by it. So the thing, newsflash, all of us feel fear. Even now, to this day, I feel fearful. The first time, which was last week when I was to get on this Periscope call, you would think that somebody was going to put a guillotine to my neck. It was, and I speak all the time. I speak to audiences, but it was a new experience for me. And so I went and I did it. And you know what? Today wasn't as bad. There was a slight little concern, but you know, I pushed that record button because I was not going to let that overcome me. I wasn't, okay? So you need to take the action and get out of your head. Stop making the stories of what you think will happen. They never, most of the times, do happen. And if you keep telling yourself that story, then you're going to never grow. You won't get to where you need to get to. And then guess what? As I said, everybody feels fear. Anytime you're going to take on something that's brand spanking new, fear will creep up. So what are your current fears right now? What are you fearful of? What is stopping you? What are those stories that you are creating around what you know you need to do? You need to let it go. You need to understand that it's false, that you have the power, and those stories that you're dragging from your past right now into your present are going to keep you stopped. Do you want a breakthrough? Do you want a breakthrough? And if you really, really do want a breakthrough, then it's something that you need to know, that you just need to make the choice to free yourself. Now, I know it's not that simple, And yet, yes, it can be that simple. Because this brain that you have is super phenomenal. You can, in an instant, switch that on the turn of a dime and cause that fear to mean something else. That is how I live my life now. So now I don't let fear stop me. They will come. When I'm going to take on something I've never done before, the fears are going to come. But guess what? It's not going to stop me. And you have to reclaim your complete power. Release that child that is holding you back, that's giving you those false beliefs and your false ideas and those false stories you're creating about what will happen or about what other people are going to think about you and all of that. It's really, really critical that you let all of that go. So now I have a very attractive offer that I want to make for you. And it's something that's free. It's not something, but it's coming in 2 weeks actually. So if you're watching this broadcast a little later, you still have an opportunity where you can actually log in and get the details of this. Actually, you don't even need to log in. It's a website that I have. And let me see if I can pull this up for you in a minute here. I'm going to look, and if you can get to the website that's called passionstoearnings.com high productivity. That is passionstoearnings.com /high productivity. And I'm going to spell that all out for you because I don't want you to miss it. It's a training, a free training that I'm going to be creating for you to help you to overcome the fear and the negative self-talk that stop you every single day, okay? And if you want that, then you need to go to PASSIONS, passions, TOEARNINGS, earnings.com /high, HIGH, productivity, PRODUCTIVITY. And I didn't mean to spell that as though you couldn't spell, but I just want to make certain that if somebody is listening, they get the digits right. So you go over there and you will, when you opt in, there's going to be a timer because what I'm creating is going to be really special. And I would like you to be in on it. So go ahead and head on over there and enter your information so I can notify you when this is ready. And it's free training, so it's not something you have to worry about paying for. So I just thank you for tuning in and for joining me. And what I would love to do is to have you reach out to me at your convenience. You can, I'm on Facebook. It's the Dr. Gwen Show. You can reach me there. Or if you look for the Dr. Gwen International Training and Empowerment Academy.